Good day, everyone. I am here to present my dissertation paper entitled Present and Extent of Corporate Social Responsibility Elements of Selected Technical Vocational Education and Training Centers, Basis for a Proposed Action Plan. I am Honeylette Villanueva, a PhD student of Centro Escolar University, Mendiola, located in the Philippines. Okay, so for my introduction, CSR is defined as a self-regulating model that helps a company be socially accountable to the business itself, its stakeholders, and to the public. So CSR is a much needed practice in an organization because it will bring corporate transparency to the society. I mean, what benefits will the company give to the society, and of course, the purpose of this study is to assess and benchmark the CSR elements of the technical vocational education centers in selected areas in National Capital Region in comparison with the CSR elements or practices of the vet centers in other locations. Furthermore, the results of this study will provide valuable insights and recommend suggestions for the enhancement of CSR elements they are currently using in their institution. My theoretical framework is from the triple bottom line model of CSR by Mr. John Elkington, which comprises of people, planet, and profit. So the people, or in other terms, it could be comparable to social performance. The planet is the environmental performance of the company, and of course, the profit for its economic performance. Also, I got my study from the UNESCO, okay, which has highlighted fostering youth employment and entrepreneurship, promoting equity in gender equality, and facilitating the transition to green economies and sustainable society. So that is incomparable with economic performance, promoting equity in gender equality with its people, and of course planet for the um, sustainable society. And the book where I got my study is from Richard Chang and Keith Kelly's Improving Through Benchmarking. For my conceptual framework, so my independent variables are global competitiveness, poverty reduction, economic, social, and environmental dimension, human rights, labor practices, fair operating practices, consumer issues, and community involvement and development. For my moderating variables, that is educational attainment, number of years working in the institution, TVET classification, partnership, and company linkages. So my dependent variable would be to have a proposed action plan for the TVET institutions in Metro Manila. And afterwards, if they have studied the proposal that I'm going to make for them, they can continue the CSR that is what I'm proposing, and of course they will have to recalibrate it or further improve it for their planning of CSR implementation. For the statement of the problem, SOP1, so what is the profile of the respondents in the selected institution in terms of educational attainment, number of years working in the institution? Number two, what is the profile of the institution in terms of the VET classification and partnership or company leakages? For number three, to what extent are the CSR elements evident in the TVET centers, particularly in the following areas? So the global competitiveness, poverty reduction, economic, social, environmental, human rights, labor practices, fair operating practices, consumer issues, and the community involvement and development. For the SOP number four rather, is there a significant difference in the implementation of CSR elements of selected technical vocational centers in NCR when compared and grouped according to profile variables? And for my SOP number five, what are the general criteria of CSR activities that will be the basis for the proposed action plan based on the respondents' consensus. My hypothesis is there is no significant difference in the CSR elements of selected education and training centers in NCR as compared to other technical vocational centers in the country. So here are my six respondents located in Manila, Quezon City, Camanava area, Pamamarisan, Pasmak, and Munti Parlas. So I just uh, indicated here TVET School E, TVET School S, TVET School V, TVET School M, and TVET School D and TVET School I. So I did not divulge the real name of the institution for confidentiality purposes. For the method, so I have used a mixed method, which is quantitative, in which I have adopted and created a survey questionnaire for data gathering, and then I conducted a face-to-face interview, which is a qualitative method with the academic heads, college deans, or technical directors. I've also used sampling frame tabulation for the sample size to collect pertinent information, and then which I drew a sample from. And then I have tabulated it, and I got my information from it. For the reliability and validity of the instrument, so the researcher used Cronbach alpha, and 4-point Likert scale was utilized to get specific responses. ANOVA was used, of course, to test the significant difference. Okay. For the results, okay, so majority is 41 here highlighted that 41% are master's degree holders, 21% have completed or passed the National Competency for Skills Training, and 31% are just merely college graduates, and 7% are doctoral graduates. SOP 1.2, 13% have been working in the institution for less than 2 years, 20% 2 to 4 years, 20% are employed for 4 to 6 years, 15% are employed for 6 to 8 years, 11% are employed for 8 to 10 years, and 22% of them are employed for more than 10 years. So 58% are working in the private institution, while 42% belongs to the public institution. So 55% have company connections or linkages, and 45% are not associated with any company at all. For the SOP 3.1, so the global competitiveness, the vet school has gained the highest overall weighted mean. Poverty reduction, TVET School I. For the economic dimension, TVET School D has the highest overall weighted mean. In social dimension, that is TVET School I, which has gained the highest overall weighted mean. For the environmental dimension, so TVET School I gained the highest overall weighted mean. In human rights, TVET School S, which gained the highest overall weighted mean. Labor practices, TVET School I. And for fair operating practices, TVET School V. Consumer issues belongs to TVET School I. Community involvement and development, TVET School V. So according to the variables, tabular values show that there is no significant difference in the assessment of the respondents to each indicators, as shown by the p-value which are greater than 0.5 level of significance. For my discussion, so yes, statement of the problem 1.1, most of the instructors who are teaching in the technical vocational institution are master's degree holders. And they have been working in this institution for more than 10 years. And most of the TVET classifications in NCR or National Capital Region belong to the private sector. Most of the respondents belonging to the private institution declare that they have industry partnership. And TVET School I has stood out for the global competitiveness. SOP2, so it is revealed that most of the graduates can readily have a job after graduation. And the CSR implementation in terms of economic, it showed that TVET School D has a strong implementation. For the social dimension, that is, yes, TVET School I. And for the environment dimension, that is TVET School I again. And in terms of human rights, that is TVET School S. So they are taking planned systematic approach of gender equality. And for the labor practices, so this school reflected a good employer-employee relationship among other institutions. For the consumer rights, Civet School I has displayed a strong level of awareness in terms of consumer rights and protection. In terms of community involvement, that belonged to Tivet School V. So there is no significant difference in the implementation of the CSR elements of all the technical vocational centers in NCR. So meaning to say that the assessment are also comparable to other institutions within the whole locality and other areas in Metro Manila. Thank you very much for listening.